why did I become a nurse? Okay. I realised that one, children is where I am happy, and two, is to make a difference. And I think being in this environment, providing play and distraction to sick children, I automatically started to get involved in the nursing care element, and it just came very naturally. And I think the reward you get from it is when you feel you've made that tiny bit of difference. You make someone smile, and I think the best bit is when the kids come for a visit and they come running up to you and they throw their arms around you. That's the best thing ever. I don't think that would make anybody want to do it. So I became a nurse because when I was 5 years old, I was in hospital and had some significant surgery, and it was something that I decided at that point that I was going to be a nurse, and that was all I'd ever wanted to do, nothing different. I very much appreciated the nurses who looked after me, and I bizarrely enjoyed my time in hospital, I think, going from memory, and wanted to be able to do that for other children in the future. On a daily basis, as a nurse, you are actually providing the care firsthand to the patients. You advocate for the patients. You get feedback from parents and families of what is comfortable, anxiety inducing. So you get all of that kind of information. You're getting it firsthand. So I think the nurses play a really important role purely for that reason, because they are there day-to-day delivering care. And we're generally also the first point of contact. So if they're finding something difficult, the children and families, they will often come to us to express those difficulties that they're experiencing. So I think we're then well placed to be able to look for solutions and ways that we could improve that for them. You're constantly juggling. It's not just making sure that all the care is being delivered, it's also looking at the overall picture of the welfare of that family. So when you've got so many things you're trying to balance, something can get missed, and that's not something we like or makes us happy. Trying to work out where to prioritise your time, where to prioritise the care, who comes first is a challenge that's ongoing. I think challenges with equipment, so if there's a limited amount of resource and we're sort of trying to monitor multiple patients at the same time, trying to work out sort of who gets to monitor at whatever time, and also the time that it can take to connect monitors, and also then to write down the observations, to then assess whether or not you think that that's appropriate for them, to calculate a score, to see whether or not there's any early warning signs that the next might be a deterioration. All of those things are sort of time pressures on the nurses. And also, I suppose, the accuracy, if something's documented wrongly, it can calculate a wrong score. And also different people can interpret things slightly differently, and that can lead to some inconsistencies or for us to sort of come to the wrong conclusion at times. And also we're human, and at the end of the day, we sometimes we can miss things. Also, the fact that we're human means that we have demands on our time. So if the parent's upset, we're obviously going to spend time with them. There might also be a child who sort of needs us somewhere else at the same time. So splitting ourselves into too many pieces, I think, is one of the biggest challenges we have. With Rapid, we saw, there was a potential to be able to have a patient who was free of wires. They could be continuously monitored, which would mean that we wouldn't miss things in the same way as if you're on 4-hourly monitoring, you might see a change in that period of time that we wouldn't necessarily have picked up. So it was quite easy to use, and then it was there, patients taking them off, putting them back on after a wash. It actually, even for the ward nurses, it was easier because they didn't have to reconnect them. They were still connected. It was just, they just start picking up again once they were reattached. They found the actual visual of having a monitor there with the vital signs on it continuously. They found that very helpful as well. An example was that a patient dropped their taps and oxygen saturation, sorry. We have a habit of using abbreviations, oxygen saturations. But by the time the nurse got to the bedside, they'd picked up again. But it was really helpful for that mum and that nurse. Mum was like, thank God it's there so they don't think I'm a hypochondriac. And the nurse, it was perfect because it was obvious visually there that the patient had dropped their saturations for a fair few minutes and had reduced. So that would not have been caught if there wasn't that continuous monitoring there. It really helped a lot of families. There was one parent, the little one, he went into the playroom. So the fact that he was being monitored while he was in the playroom and he was free to play, she said, I remember her saying, she said she felt safe because he was still being monitored even though he was away from his bedside. I think also for parents with babies, the fact that you've got so many wires coming, a lot of them were looking forward to the old set of monitoring being put aside so they could pick them up easier. And you know, when the little ones become active and they're rolling around the bed, they're getting wrapped up in wires. So we got a lot of feedback from parents saying they can't wait till it's in use, basically, and there's no more wires. Oh, I'd love to see it on the ward, and the wire's gone, just like the parents. I think, you know, I feel it is definitely the way forward, and I think it has huge benefits, very beneficial to the patients. The older children, some of the feedback from them was that, you know, it gave them freedom to be able to go to the toilet without having to drag something along with them. Or having to go by the bedside. They weren't tied down. Freedom was a key word that kept coming up with the patients themselves and some of the parents. Over 95% from the patient questionnaires, the feedback that we got preferred the rapid monitoring. So that was huge. Being able to, for example, I gave you about when you've got that many alarms going off, if you have a central system, you'll be able to glance and see who to prioritise real time rather than what you saw like the last hour or half hour ago. You'll be able to prioritise which patients you need to go to first.
So I think the hope for Rapid 2 is that we would have children monitored on multiple wards throughout the hospital, so it's very much scale up what happened in Rapid 1, which would hopefully mean that babies would get more cuddles, the children and young people would get more independence, the parents would feel more confident, the children would be able to play a lot more, they'd be a lot more mobile, they'd be a lot more comfortable, they'd get more sleep because they're more mobile. All of those things hopefully would mean actually they might get better quicker and they might be able to leave hospital quicker.